All right. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. See, in Toastmasters, we give a lot of importance to the evaluation, be it a speech evaluation or the general evaluation. We always say it is one of the best things about Toastmasters. What we have to understand is if it is not done quite right, it could very easily become counterproductive. Like it's a very, very thin line. It is easier than we think for an evaluation to become criticism or pointing out the wrong things. So today we'll try to understand that line and learn some techniques to stay only on the good side of it. And we'll also see a cheat sheet of how an evaluation can be done, something that I used in my area and my division level. And so let's go on, all right? See, always an evaluation starts with a small intro. Like you don't get into directly with the commendations or the positive points. You start with a small intro, maximum of 2-3 lines. What we need to understand here is most often than not, an evaluator gets very excited and he talks about himself, his own opinion on the subject of the speech and what his experiences were. For example, let's say a speaker spoke about how his school life was very bad. See, the evaluator comes and says the speaker spoke about his school life. I had a lot of fun. My school life was really the best. Sometimes they even go on to share a story of their own. Like even I threw a chalk at the teacher, but like the speaker, I did not get caught. Does it really add value to this evaluation or the speaker? It doesn't really matter what your school life was, right? It does not, is it a recommendation? Is it an appreciation? No. So try not to opine on the subject of the speech, but only the speech. Maybe we'll understand more about what this is in the further. So the subject of the speech, be it anything, disconnect yourself from the speaker. Okay, I'll ask you this question. Who's the hero here? The speaker or the evaluator? You can unmute and say, who's the hero?
Speaker.
Speaker?
Speech.
Speech? Awesome. Who said speech?
Ranjit.
Oh my God, awesome. Okay, okay. So yes, that's right. That's right. The speaker is not the evaluator. The speaker or the evaluator, both of them are not heroes. It's the speech. Those 5 to 7 minutes is all that matters. That is the hero. That is the villain. That is the director. That is the screenplay. That is everything. For example, I'll give another example. A speaker comes and talks about, let's take a sensitive subject. He says live-in relationships are wrong. But you as a person think that it is very conservative of a speaker to say that or a person to say that, and you don't agree. This is where you need to hold the integrity of as an evaluator. If the speech was very offensive to some people, it is something that Toastmaster doesn't even allow because it doesn't happen even rarely that a Toastmaster has hate in his speech. So, but if at all there was a speech that could have been sensitive, that could have offended some people, you can mention that as a recommendation. You need not say, I don't agree with this. How would you mention it? That too from the speech perspective. That's how you mentioned it. Like for example, Mr. So-and-so, this idea that you've chosen is sensitive and it could divide the audience. And that is not something that that is the goal of as a speaker. Try to make it relatable to everyone that the entire audience enjoys it and give suggestions also how to do it. Maybe give the other points also, something like that. That is how you ensure that you don't give your opinions. Stay unbiased. That's the second point. When you're trying for the entire speech as well as the intro, stay unbiased. Let's say like I like Ranjit for his humor. Okay? And whenever he gives speeches, I expect humor in his speech. But this time he gave a speech that was very factual and very serious. Now, I might personally be very disappointed, right? With his speech, like, oh my God, I expected humor. I did not get it. Now, that because I'm a Toastmaster, I get excited. And as an evaluator, if I come here, I was expecting humor. There was no humor in the speech. Right? Does it really matter? Because this is a different style of speech. Is it an appreciation? Is it a recommendation? No. So stay as unbiased as possible. Forget the speaker. If you had known the speaker before, forget him. Disconnect from the speaker. Always only evaluate the speech, not the speaker. Do not opine on the subject of the speech. Okay? So now the intro is done. Then we move on to the commendations. Commendations means the positives. Whenever you share positives of a speech, you should also tag it along with the why. Why do you think this was positive? Why do you think this worked for him? Okay. In this delivery, let's say the speaker was articulate. He had good words. Share the examples of the phrases he used. If it was relatable, share why it was relatable. The speech was about engineering, and I am an engineer, so I related. Okay, and you have to give at least 1 point. See, suppose sometimes what happens, the speaker may be very nervous and he had a lot of pauses in between, or even he was even stopped speaking for 1 minute and then he resumed. Sometimes he didn't even resume, he disconnected. He discontinued and he got down on stage or whatever. The fact that despite being so scared, he's doing it, he's doing something, he's joined Toastmasters, prepared something, and on the stage, that needs to be applauded. You will find at least one, if not more, at least one something positive, and that has to be shared extensively in your evaluation. Very, very important that you start with your positives. And so the magic word is why. Why did you think something was great? You remember that. And then we move on to the recommendation, 2-3 points of recommendation. Here the magic word is how. How means how would you change it? How would you make it better? Okay? If you're giving any recommendation, follow it with the how. For example, the body language could have been better. That is your recommendation. This is very vague. As an evaluator, you need to mention how, like spread your hands when you say big or very tiny. Show it. Share how. The conclusion could have been more impactful. That is, let's say that is another recommendation. How? Okay, maybe you can say share a quote, get a call back, make it more dramatic. Let's say instead of saying I will never drink alcohol again, say it like I will never drink alcohol again. Show it, do it, perform it. Okay, if you felt the speech was fast, why did you think it was fast in the first place? And then how to make it slow. Tell them how the speaker can practice pauses. Only if you share it with the how, it counts as a recommendation. Otherwise, it is just a criticism. You're just pointing out the wrong things. This was fast, this is bad, whatever. So share it with a how. Now we'll move on to the minute details, okay, which seems very small, but is actually very, very impactful, and it creates a lot of difference for the speaker as well as the speech. The first thing is be as personal as possible. Now, this may be confusing because I said don't opine, don't give your own opinions. But being personal, by what I mean by this is, don't give your opinions on the subject of the speech, only on the delivery of the speech. It is easy if you ask yourself, like, does this point add value to the speaker? Always use words like I suggest, in my opinion, I felt. Because another evaluator, another person can say completely different things. He can feel completely different things. And try not to speak for the audience. I am sure the audience must have felt something like this. Something like that. Evaluators usually use this. But that's not true. The audience may have felt something different. In our club itself, I remember there was a speech where the evaluator was very critical of the speech, but she, in the end, won the best speaker award. The audience actually liked her speech. Right? So it's important that you always say your opinion, not on the subject, remember, but on the speech itself, but only your opinion. Okay, number 2 is the words you use. Please stay very, very far away from the negative words. Not, never, did not reach, monotonous. Please, monotonous is a horrible word. Bland, too many facts, very, very long. I lost interest. You were slow. No eye contact. This was missing. All of these are really bad. There are only 2 possibilities of what a speaker will feel after you share these words. One thing is he will get angry at you. How dare you tell I am monotonous? What, as if you are this thing, or you are a speaker, or this best speaker, or whatever. That spoils the spirit of Toastmasters itself. Or something even worse will happen. The speaker becomes very conscious. Really, was I that monotonous? And he goes and asks, like, his friend, like, was it really monotonous? Was it really bad? I thought I was good. Oh no, maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. He loses his confidence. Again, that the whole idea is that your evaluation should make the speaker come back to stage and give another speech as soon as possible. You should be like, I did it and I'm going to do it again. That's the idea, and not to like push him away forever or even temporarily. Let's say, for argument's sake, the speech was monotonous. It was monotonous. How would you say it? Use your, let's say, start with the recommendation itself. Start with the how itself. Use your pitch. Make it, let's say, like, come closer to the screen and be louder when you say, I hate cigarettes. Lower your voice when you say, it made me sick. Show it. Show it what that recommendation could make an impact rather than just saying be monotonous. You were monotonous. Okay. And like, for example, another example I'll give you. Even though there were stories, there were no transitions. Okay. See, another set of type of words, in my opinion, which is underestimated but is very negative, is but, if, even though, right? So you were good, but there was no eye contact. It doesn't matter. Whatever you say before the but doesn't matter. Even if you say like you are the best speaker in the world, but it doesn't matter, right? If only you had done this, if you had done that, it almost feels like you missed, the speaker missed the one important thing, the one major thing, right? So don't, if, but, even though, try to stay away from those words as much as possible. Number 3 is speak to the audience when you're appreciating the speaker. Speak to the speaker when you're giving recommendations. What I mean by that, let's say the speech was amazing. I thought the speech of this particular speaker delivered had all the elements in it to the audience. So that's like you're appreciating the speaker in front of the audience. Now, I'll give another example. Let's say Mr. Yasin could have chosen a better title. When you're saying that to the audience, it's almost like you're complaining about the speech to the audience. Right? You can say like this: I wanted to know to the speaker, you are speaking in front of the audience, but address the speaker. Right? So it makes it feel more personal. The speaker doesn't feel attacked or put on spotlight in front of the audience. All right, very good. Now, the fourth one, this is specifically for club evaluations, not for a contest. Speak to the speaker before the evaluation. Genuinely care about the speaker. Right? That's one of the identities of Toastmasters. They're always ready to help. Sometimes they're even like ready to help without even asking. Okay, ask the speaker if he's trying something new in his speech, maybe something that he wants the evaluator to focus on. In my case, for example, I'm always smiling, always energetic, and I want to improve on giving emotional, impactful speeches. So maybe for me, being energetic or lighthearted may not be a positive thing. It could be a recommendation. Maybe I want the evaluator to share with me how I can make my speech emotional, how I can stop smiling in critical parts of the speech, right? So it is customize your speech, your evaluation according to the speaker and what his goals are. Okay. All right. So what I have shared till now is, first you share 2-3 points of intro, then your positives and why, your recommendations and how, and then summarize. Summarize is just add, like you must have given 2 points about positives, 2 points in recommendations. These 2 points were good, and this will make your speech memorable, take your speech to another level, something like that. Never say could make it good or could make it that shows that the speech was bad. Okay, so to summarize this session, disconnect from the speaker, evaluate the speech and not the speaker. Try not to opine on the subject matter of the speech. Talk for only yourself, not for the audience or for anyone else. Speak to the audience while appreciating. Speak to the speaker when giving recommendations, and customize it according to the speaker goals. So with that, I hope that I did put some ideas about how an evaluation can happen and how it can motivate the speaker. With that, I'm done with my session. Thank you so much for listening to me. Over to the